Welcome to a new Anno 1800 episode. Today, perfect stamps and layout for the chewing gum production. And of course, to talk about chewing gum, we'll also talk about the caoutchouc, the cinnamon, but let's take this opportunity to also talk about the other three other orchards. Let's dive right in. As always, let's start with just the basic production. If you're starting, if you don't know how to make chewing gum, this is it. You have the multi-factory over here for your chewing gum. You're making some sugar from the sugar cane. You need 2 caoutchouc plantation because it's a bit of a slow one, and you have 1 orchard for your cinnamon. Of course, in the middle you put a warehouse, fire station, police station to make sure you don't have any problem, and here it is. With this you'll be producing 2 chewing gum per minute, which is actually quite a lot. It's not like your population is gonna need tons and tons of it, with perfect ratios for the sugar cane, for the caoutchouc and the cinnamon. Now, if you really want a lot of chewing gum, here is a dedicated trade union for all of your chewing gum factories. We're talking about 17 chemical plants, so you can already get to 34. Of course, if you have a couple of items, working conditions, things like this will go higher. Talking about items, let's actually look at the items for the chewing gum factory, the chemical plant, because there's not that many. You have the gold, silver, or bronze performance medal. Remember, this is a unique item. You can only get one. You will either get the gold or the bronze or the silver, but you will only get one. So, if you have the gold one, maybe you want to put it, maybe you want to keep it for another production. And then outside of that, you only have 3 others. So if you really want to put 3 items, well, basically put 1 of each. Let me show you. The first one will increase the productivity, but will also increase the workforce. So that's a bit of a challenge there. Will also increase the maintenance cost. So just be careful. It's a good one, but it's not perfect either. The second is a lot better in my opinion, because it will increase the productivity, will increase the maintenance and the workforce a bit, but most importantly, it will create ethanol 1 out of 4. And ethanol is not the easiest. We'll look at it actually in the next episode. But yeah, 1 out of 4, that's a pretty good one. Last but not least, we have Salvador over here. He's increasing productivity by 100%. So you may feel like, okay, that's really great. But the reality is, I don't actually love him that much, because he's going to change your workforce from the obreros to artista. So now you need a lot of artista, especially because it is increasing the workforce needed by 25%. On top of this, also maintenance cost plus 185%, so you better have quite a lot of money. The one good thing though, it is giving you the good that you're producing. So in this case over here, chewing gum, 1 out of 3. So basically increasing, the production by sort of 33%. So again, the reality is you may not even want to do a trade union like this, even if you need a lot. What you may want to do is just give it electricity, just give it electricity. Now we said we need some sugar. Remember, we have looked at the sugar in the past, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail, but we have stamps for the sugar cane too, including the Hacienda one. So it is easier the trade union for the sugar. Here we have a trade union normal farms, without any tractors, etc. And then here we have the trade union with the Hacienda, because remember the Hacienda is really good in terms of a low number of modules. So if you need to make some sugar, I got you covered. You can check on the video description below, the link to join my Discord community where you can find all of those stamps. And you can also look at the full series, and in particular the chocolate episode if you missed it, to get all of the details on the good items to use over here. On the other hand, we hadn't looked at the caoutchouc yet, but the reality is the caoutchouc, you may realize, is quite similar to what we just looked at, the sugar cane. This is actually not the same over here. We can put more because caoutchouc is a very small one, but for the Hacienda one, this will be the same. Let me show you a bit more detail. So the normal one, as I mentioned, is 44 caoutchouc plantation. So you're talking about 44 per minute. If you don't have anything, items, working condition, etc., that's already quite a lot. But even better in the Hacienda, I was able to fit 16, and with those 16 with tractors and silos, you're already at more than 100. So just add a couple of items and working condition, and that should be plenty for whatever you want to do. While we're at it, let's look a bit at the items for caoutchouc. As I just mentioned, this is quite similar to the sugar cane, meaning first and foremost, especially if you have tractors, I suggest you add either the miraculous steel plow or the patent steel seed drill to get to 0 workforce. This is reducing your workforce by 50%, also increasing your productivity, so it's a really great one. And if you get to 0 workforce, remember to just increase your working condition to plus 50%, because if you don't have workforce, you don't get any problem. There's no impact on your happiness, there's no riot, anything like this. And then after this, I suggest you use the horticulturalist airman and the arborist to decrease your number of modules, increase your productivity, and get some interesting bonuses like the tobacco for the arborist, or over here, red pepper, potato, and grapes. This is my go-to items. Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below if you disagree, if you think there is one that is better. I'm always keen to learn new things. Last but not least, you need some cinnamon. Here is the layout for the cinnamon. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a stamp. I will post the blueprint and this picture on my Discord community, but I cannot give you a stamp. There is a bug every time I create a stamp based on this. I save, quit the game, then the stamp disappeared. We used to have the same bug for the orchard in the old world. This was fixed in the last patch, but in the current version of the game, in July 2023, to me, I still have the problem in the new world. So sorry about this, but this is basically the exact same layout as in the old world. So very similar layout, to the wood and things like this. You have all of your buildings right at the outside to make sure that they have as much space as possible for their trees. You have the roads in the inside, so that there's the least amount of road as possible. You don't connect the roads to buildings on both sides because that's again a waste. And the reality is this is for cinnamon, but it is the exact same one for all the other ones. For coconut oil, citrus, and camphor wax, you will get the exact same layout. There's no reason to use a different one. And similar to many of those productions that came with DLCs, there's not that many items. So look at this, you will want for sure this hand pollination method. This is a really good one because it will increase your productivity and most importantly, it will increase the forest density. This is what you want so that you can have so many of those buildings in such a small perimeter. It will increase a bit the workforce needed, but it's definitely worth it. Similarly, you definitely want the Get Rich Quick Volume 1. Again, productivity plus 15%, forest density plus 20%, and a bit of workforce, plus 8. Definitely the second one that you should put in all of them. And then if you really want to push this forest density, it is the optimized pruning. Because once again, plus 15% on productivity, plus 15% on forest density, a bit more workforce this time, 20%. So that's why, in my opinion, it's less good than this one, obviously. But yeah, basically with those three, you would have a really good forest density. There is a couple of other items, let's quickly look at them. This one, for example, the volume 3, will increase your productivity and will also give you extra goods that are not bad, 1 out of 5 for coffee bean, 1 out of 4 for tobacco, 1 out of 3 for cocoa. But the reality though is your production is not going to be that fast, right? So there's better way to make those production in my opinion. Then we have the interspecies grafting. Very, very small productivity increase, only 5%, and workforce it's plus 17, so it's actually quite high, but you will get citrus 1 out of 4. So obviously if you're using it on citrus, that's already quite good. It will improve your citrus by quite a lot. So that's not too bad, but it doesn't give you the forest density. And last but not least, in one of the latest DLC, we got this tropical pedologist, increasing again productivity plus 25%, that's not too bad. And workforce need is only plus 15, but now the building will process dung, so sort of fertilizer, right, to give extra good. So it's a very interesting one. To be honest, I haven't done tons of the math on this one to see how good this can be, but that's an interesting element. It does require quite a bit of dung, so, again, I'm not too sure in terms of the math if that's really useful, but maybe if you just have tons of dung, then you can use this one. So it is, ladies and gents, that is the chewing gum production. Before we move into ethanol and celluloid in the next episode, don't hesitate to smash the like button, and I hope to see you next time.